Hey guys, what's up? I'm Brian with Fishers Off-Road, and in this video, I'm going to be sharing 5 tips with you for whenever it comes to installing a Warn Elite bumper on your Jeep. Tip number 1, and this is something I do with every install. If there's a lot of hardware, I take a piece of cardboard and cut it off whatever the product came in, and I lay everything out and I label it and I number how many pieces are with what. That way I know what a B1, a B2, a B3 is. And then also it helps you out if you have someone helping you do the install. It's easier to say, hey, can you grab me a B1 than it is to say, can you get me a push nut bolt retainer? With tip number 2, once you get your stock bumper off there, you're gonna have to cut your upper frame rail if you're putting a Zeon winch on there. Now the Zeon winch is a pretty big winch. Go back to that first bolt hole and trim it just like Warn has it in their directions. And then once you trim it, you'll want to make sure you file it down and paint it. Then that way it's not going to rust either because you painted it. Tip number 3 is you will have to trim your fog light. You got to trim a couple of those plastic ears off. And then once you trim those ears off, you get your fog lights in there. What I did when re-drilled a hole and brought mine out a little bit further so it didn't sit behind anything, because if you kind of put it in there really tight, your fog light's going to be blocked by the front of the bumper there. Tip number 4, you're going to want to adjust your fog light beam after you get it centered. The best way to do this is when it's really dark. Shine your lights up against the garage door, and there's typically a line on there that you can use as a reference point. Tip number 5 is make sure you do not put that skid plate on before you have all your other hardware and winch and everything on there, because I got a little overzealous. I put the Warn skid plate on there and then realized that, oh, hey, you know, I shouldn't have done that. So unless you want to work in really tight spaces, don't put that skid plate on before you get everything else on. And then a bonus tip for you, if you are putting a Zeon or a winch on there with synthetic rope, you can check out the video I did for Warn a few years ago where I put the synthetic rope on a Zeon 10S winch. I'm putting rope on a Zeon 12S winch. It's the same process. It works the same. Check out that video. It makes it pretty easy whenever you're doing the install on the synthetic rope. And just a little side note, something that I've done a couple times is make sure you put your sleeve protector on your synthetic rope before you put it in your drum, because if you don't, you got to take it out and you got to do it all over again. Well, there you go, guys. I hope that helps you out with installing the Warn Elite front bumper on your Jeep. If you got any questions, feel free to hit me up. We'll see y'all. Take care. Have a good one.